Ngai mob, I hope this finds you well. I firstly want to begin by saying thank you for choosing to join the Warrior Heart community. And if you are only here to have a look around, to get to know me, to get to know the community, and you're just curious, I still want to say thank you, because your time, your energy, your vibe, your essence as a human being is our most powerful finite resource that we have, is our time, our energy, and our focus. So I thank you for gifting this community, for me, for the movement, for the Warrior Heart, your time, your curiosity, and your energy. And if you stay only for a second, if you stay for a moment, or you stay with us forever, as long as this community is around, I want to say thank you. My name is Shantelle Thompson, and I'm a proud Barkindji Warrior woman, and I also have cultural heritage ties to Irish, English, Chinese, Sri Lankan, and Scottish. And what that means is that I'm first and foremost a proud First Nations woman. My Barkindji Warrior heritage come from my mother's line, and this is how I move from the world. I am culturally grounded, I am ancestrally guided, and I am dreaming led. And you might know dreaming as purpose or mission or vision. For us in our community, in our culture, our dreaming is the essence of who we are and what we were born in this time and place. We came from the stars to be here in this time and place, to be here in this self, to do work, to unfold a journey, to have an impact, and to shift the world as it is through our presence and the work and how we show up in the world. And for me, I have always been called and led by my First Nations culture first and foremost. So I thank you for being here. I am the Barkindji Warrior, Warrior Heart. And what that means is that I am grounded in my power. I am my truth, and I am following my heart. And this isn't something that is new to me. This is something that I was called to. This is something that I live, and it is still something that I am practicing. It is still something that I am dreaming and weaving into the world. So if this speaks to you, if you are already someone who is being in their power, living your truth and following your heart, I applaud you, because for so many of us, those of us that come from Indigenous backgrounds, gender diverse backgrounds, being a female, coming from some form of adversity, the world does not want us to be in our power. It doesn't want us to be in our truth, and it damn sure doesn't want us following our hearts, because there are too many who profit from our low self-esteem. There are too many who profit from us being in chains of our own conditioning and socialization that we've internalized from messages from the world. And yet, this is exactly what is needed right now. In the world, people say, be yourself, be authentic, be brave, be bold, F what other people think. So I'm not sure where I left off there. I am out on country, and a beautiful man just came and said good morning and Happy New Year. So if you have found your way here, I'm so grateful, because the world needs you. And as I was saying, so many people and so much energy is around just be bold, be yourself, be unapologetic, forget what other people think. However, for many of us, we have to be very considerate of what it is going to cost us, what we're going to have to sacrifice, or what we're going to have to face to be our entire selves unapologetically, bravely, and boldly in the world. Whether that's a strong, powerful woman and the things you will face standing in your power, being your truth as a strong, powerful woman, with those narratives that come with, when a woman is strong and powerful, it's you're aggressive, you're too masculine, you're aggressive rather than being assertive, all of that. When you're a woman of color, the danger that you can face when you stand up and speak your truth into the world. And I have lived all of those things. I will share more of my story as we get into the community. If you are here, it is because you have been called. You are already doing the work of being a warrior in your own world. In order to be our truth, in order to be from our heart, and in order to own our power, we need to fight for that. In order to follow the calling of our ancestors and the calling on our lives, we need to fight for that, and hence the warrior spirit. What I'm going to share with you is deeply grounded and born from First Nations culture and heritage, women's business, and the way of the warrior, the samurai. It's about learning how to use your power and knowing when to fight and when not to fight, but also mastering yourself, your gifts, your strengths, and understanding how to use those to be of service to the world. But in order to be of service to the world out there, we need to first become who we need to become in order to bring ourselves fully into the world. And that's the journey that I have been on for the last 41 years, is shedding and letting go of and fighting back against the deficit narratives that were tried to be forced upon me by colonial and patriarchal systems and conditioning and the world. The world tried to write my story. The colonial and patriarchal world tried to write my story for me before I was even born. However, my ancestors, my very creators, my story was written in the stars before I was born into this time and place. I was born to be a bridge between the ancestral and the emerging. I was born to heal the generations of my family who weren't allowed to be themselves or who couldn't be themselves in the world because of colonial and patriarchal systems. And I'm here to remember and reclaim all of the generations that came before me who were in their strength, who were in their power, who were their warriors, who were their Indigenous selves, their female selves. And to weave all of that healing and that reclamation and that remembering into who I am and how I move through the world. I had to become the Barkindji Warrior, the warrior heart myself. I had to heal myself. I had to heal the intergenerational trauma. I had to heal my lived trauma, which is still an ongoing process. I had to get myself strong enough and grounded enough before I could be for other people. And when I set myself free, it was because I wanted to set my children free. I didn't want them to become collateral damage to my trauma. Now, have I fully eradicated trauma and doing harm to my kids because of my own life experiences, my own gaps, my own pain, my own trauma? No, I have caused harm to my children, but not intentionally and not consciously. I have done the best I could with what I had to set my children up to have a different beginning, a different starting point to what I started with, to what I was born with. I, from a very young age, got a calling to remember who I was beyond the deficit narrative, to be grounded in culture, ancestrally guided and dreaming led. I had this warrior heart, and I heard my ancestors and my dreaming from a very young age. From the first time someone tried to silence me, from the first time someone tried to take my power, when I was sexually abused as a child, when there was family violence in the home, and when I had to step up and protect my younger siblings, but there was no one there to protect me. I had to protect myself in order to be able to protect those behind me. I am now weaving and shaping all that into my knowledge sharing, into my teaching. That's what you will find in this community. Is I will be sharing my story of going from suicide to world champion, of becoming the Barkindji Warrior, of finding my voice and finding my strength and power and being that in my own world, to then be able to show up and be that for other women, for my children. If you see behind me, you see these beautiful gum trees, these river red gum trees, and there's some more here, and I'm on the river at the moment. This is my sacred spot. And I knew that this had to be, this message for you, this opening message had to be recorded for you on my country. Now, in order for a tree, and this is a tree that the eagle and the crow build their nest in, and they are creator spirits for me and for my people. In order for these trees to become strong enough and powerful enough to hold the nest of the next generation of eagles and crows, of our creator spirits, a seed had to first be planted in the ground. That seed had to stop being a seed and break open to be able to grow and take root in the ground. And then that root had to push up through the darkness. It had to push through, and it didn't know how far above itself the surface was. All it knew was the darkness, and keep pushing through until it hit the light. And then once it hit the light, that was just the beginning. It was vulnerable. A tree can only give back as much as what it has taken first for itself. Because if a tree tries to give back more than what it is capable of, it will die. There's a term in our culture called wapanya, which means to keep giving back. In order for this tree to become a grandmother, grandfather tree, to hold the nest of our ancestral spirits and creator spirits, it had to first take what it needed from country to be able to be for itself first before it could become for others. And this is the teachings that I want to share with you, because as Indigenous people, as women, our culture has been twisted, and there's this toxic narrative of self-abandonment, that in order to be there for others, in order to be a mother, in order to be a woman, in order to be a part of a collective, we have to abandon ourselves. We have to give everything to everyone else, to the deficit of the self. That is not sustainable, and it is not the way things are supposed to be. We are also having to fight to be ourselves in the world. Some are losing their lives still today for being Indigenous, for being a woman, for being a mother. So when we say be brave, be bold, be yourself without apology, we have to stand and be ready to fight, not just for our dreaming, but for our very selves. Because in order to fight for our children and fight for others, we also need to be able to fight for ourselves. I want your dreaming, I want your power, your purpose, your truth and your heart to come from a sustainable place, so that when you give to others, it is because you have an overflow to give, because you are sustainable. You know your truth, you know your calling, you know who you are. You are grounded in who you are. You are led by something bigger than yourself, and you are guided by something bigger than yourself, and you are led by your dreaming, not what your physical eyes can see, but you are soul and spirit led. You are that. I cannot express to you how powerful it is to have a purpose that is bigger than yourself, that you have faith that you are being guided and resourced and supported by something bigger than yourself. And you can just show up and do the best you can with what you have, and trust that that is enough to move you forward. That the dreaming that you have, the vision that you have, that is the floor. It is not the ceiling. Because what you have already been shown is, it is your future self, your ancestors showing you what is already yours if you show up. And I know this to be true, because by me fighting for myself, by me healing myself, by me showing up and sharing my story, I went from suicide to world champion. I'm the very proud, humble mum of 5 amazing, powerful children ranging in ages from 3 up to 18. I shifted narratives. I reclaimed and remembered my culture and my power from my ancestors. I got to be the woman and the mother that my mum and my nan didn't get to be, because they couldn't be in their own lives. My mum couldn't be the mother to me that she wanted because of her own trauma, the colonial and patriarchal systems that she was raised within, and also because of her own choices and her own capacity. So I invite you, I implore you to explore, what does power, truth, and heart mean to you? Today, this message has been blessed by Country, by Waku the crow, by Bilya the eagle, and Kukaka the kookaburra, all animals that weave together in my dreaming, that let me know that this message is for you, that you are needed here. And whether you are new to your warrior heart journey or you are already on your warrior heart journey, I implore you to show up. I invite you to share a message in the group, in this community, and share who you are, where you are on your journey, and what has called you to be a warrior heart in this season. Here's the reason we come from the heart. The heart does not lie. The heart bypasses trauma, and it bypasses ego. Our heart only speaks truth if we really learn and have the courage to hear our heart, to hear its language, to speak its language, and to be one with its language. The world needs you as you are right now. This is the perfect time to start. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter where you're starting from. Whether you've got trauma, whether you're in pain, whether you're further ahead, now is the perfect time to take this next step for you in your journey. Because by you giving yourself permission to show up and giving to yourself, sustaining yourself, means that everything that you serve outwards to the world is grounded in sustainability. It is grounded in reciprocity, responsibility. Self-care is a responsibility. It's just not a nice to have. And I want to preface and plant a seed that self-care is not just surface level bubble baths and lashes and nails and massages. Self-care is showing up to take care of or address the things that we are avoiding in our lives that are causing the pain in our lives. Now, I know you know what I mean by that. What is it, something that you've been avoiding? Is it a tough conversation? Is it looking at your finances? Is it ending that relationship? Is it leaving that workplace? Is it asking for that raise, having that difficult conversation? Is it addressing your health and well-being? Is there something in your life that you have been avoiding taking care of that is causing you pain in your life? Because here's the thing, let's create a life that we don't need a holiday from. Let's create a life that when we wake up, all might not be well out there, but we are at peace within ourselves, knowing that we are showing up and playing our part to live fully into our hearts, to live fully into our callings, and we allow our souls to lead and guide us, not what is happening externally. And we have a trust and a faith that what is happening in our lives is happening for us to prepare us for where we're meant to go and who we need to be in order to be able to live fully into that next version or that next season of ourselves. So here is to the warrior heart, being your truth, standing in your power and following your heart, because the world needs you as you are. The world needs you fully, bravely, boldly, and unapologetically yourself, because far too many of us have made to feel that we are too much or not enough. Far too many of us have abandoned ourselves in service of others or in service of a version of ourselves that we thought would fit in and be accepted by others or by something that we aspire to. The most powerful thing you can do for yourself, for those that you love, for those that you feel called to serve, and for the legacy that you want to leave behind, is to take the time and the responsibility to fight for yourself, to get real with yourself around who you are, what you feel called to do, who you feel called to become, and what does that next season look like, and what will you need to do in order to do that work and become that person. Let's walk this journey together. Welcome. Please put a message in the community and share who you are, what you're hoping to get out of this, and a little bit about where you're starting from and what the warrior heart speaks to you. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.